Hello, gang. Check out my audio here. Hope you all are doing well. Happy Monday. Welcome to Sketching with Izzy. We're just continuing our goofy little Naga boy. It's been a very long day. Tired. So, I'll try and get in a full sesh. We'll see how I'm feeling. If I can get the motivation going. Let me know if y'all can hear me. Think the audio is working, but not sure. So I've done all of the lighting and kind of figured out roughly what my composition's going to be. Now it's just about drawing up the character, which is always my favorite part. I love doing the character stuff, so I saved it for last. Trying out different kinds of musculature. I feel like this kind of has a barbarian Conan type feel, so I thought maybe we could try something in that vein. I don't need to worry too much about the snake body because, I mean, it's not a terribly difficult thing to suss out, is it? Just want to get something that feels natural. Kind of feels like a snake warrior sunning themselves in the morning. Get the body sussed out, and then we'll figure out the armor and outfit, any accessories. Let me fill out this tail so it's all solid now. Damn it. I don't know if I'll do that full curly Q thing at the end. Maybe not. We can always build up later. As long as we get kind of a decent end to the tail, it'll feel right. Try and get rid of all those little jagged bits. Okay. Just gonna do a copy merge to paste it. Come on now. God damn it. There we go. Let's say, oops. Oh, for fuck's sake. Now we actually have a solid figure silhouette to work off of, and we can actually start carving things up. Hey Tom, welcome. Yep, it's just lurkers today. Happens sometimes. Not a biggie. Just gonna paint either way. How you doing today, bud? They are horrifying responses. I can't be trusted with anything. Hmm. Picked up a piece from a gallery. Nice. That's pretty fun. I don't know. I'm drawn to some kind of weird snake creature thing. Kind of a quasi fantasy setting. Low pressure. The Evil Brain. Easy, I'm Max, your 3D artist who worked for Cecil Kim at Section. Oh, when it was closed. Oh, that's rough. Nice to meet you too. Glad you could join us today. Did I meet you when I was in the office? I remember I visited a couple of times when I was living on the boat back then. Oh, that's too bad. She definitely said hi. That was an awesome team over there. I always had fun hanging out with you guys. On pieces like these, how much time do I spend on the character versus background and landscape? I almost always dump the majority of the time in the character, but that's also why I do the character last, is because I know that I'm going to really slow down there. I'm going to do a handsome boy. So I beefed out the background pretty quick. I can totally, there's lots of room to go back into the background and like really detail it up. So I'll probably do that after I kind of establish the level of detail that I'm going to get into with the foreground. You're in the back with the 3D guys, not with the concept artists. I hear you. Are you getting into concept art now, Brain? Never be shy of Izzy. I think I can be both gruff and fuzzy and cuddly. I don't know what I was going to do with this belly part. I know I wanted him to be kind of thick, but the upper body's not quite matching that bit so much. So we might have to go back and play with the upper body just a little bit more to kind of really thicken him up. I know I want the center line to kind of go that way. Let's make a new layer and just see what we can kind of add on with some opaques. Yeah, already that feels a little bit more accurate to what I seem to be going after with them. Just this really thick kind of Grecian wrestler type body. Uh-oh. Awesome. I love it. Whatever that is, that's great. I love that that's popping up a lot these days. Some macro to do with it's a macro overlay to do with the macros that I use traditionally for Photoshop, but for some reason now it's popping up when it never did before. Love it. Super fun. So I can add in flying winged pinballs in the background. Yeah, I suppose I could. Cuddly curmudgeon. No, I think it's just one of those days. I'm grumpier than normal. Got up early and got right into work. Did a bunch of pitching today, so I'm really tired. Okay, I have to be careful because this is on a layer that is separate from the silhouette itself. So if I break the silhouette too much, then I'm going to lose the painting of the silhouette. We can also do the opposite. So I know I made him the thickness, but I can also meet in the middle, kind of slim him just a little bit to match the body type just a touch more. That kind of Little Mermaid style sharp knee bend where the tail begins. All right, I think we can get away with making a copy of that, putting it I have to re-clip everything again, and then we can just keep painting as though nothing happened. Oops, went too far with that. There. Now I can paint within the clipping mask and have no fear. You moved to Pasadena from Europe to take CDA classes back in 2012. Started off doing concept for Section Studios, but Cecil pushed you into 3D. Really? You weren't quite cutting it as a concept artist. Aw. Well, you know, there are plenty of 3D artists that are concept artists now. One of my favorite 3D guys, Brian Wynea. He's now the creative director over at Tripwire. Great guy. Love him to death. And we worked together for a long time when I was at Sony. He ended up sculpting and concept sculpting for a lot of God of War stuff. So I think there's always room with the different disciplines to kind of go back and forth a little bit. You should never feel like you're just locked into the one thing. If you want to do concept, definitely you should get a little concept in there. Yeah, Brian's a great guy. You should give him a follow on pretty much everything. Had the meeting late last night. Yeah, I did. So last night I was up probably till 2 working on the presentation pitch packages that I was doing, that I delivered today. So we did the refinement, finished up doing a rewrite, and then we did several sort of pass-throughs, practicing the thing. And then today we had back-to-back 2 over an hour long pitches and, you know, Q&A sessions and things like that with, you know, an agency and, you know, potential publishers, things like that. So it's exciting, but also it's really exhausting. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot. I mean, you put in all of this time, right, to churn out a presentation, and then once you're getting towards the end, then really what happens with the presentation is you put in all this effort on that thing, and then it's just sort of open season on it, where they just can crit the shit out of it, which is what you want. That's ideal, because then you can make it better and better. But also, like, that's always kind of a hit in and of itself. So yeah, it is taxing. It's fun, but it's taxing. So I'm tuckered. Avid, welcome, hi. When doing creatures, how much of the physical movement logic comes into play? Like, how does our Little Mermaid need bend with snaky body in Great Lake states? Looking, axe move. Oh, I see. Ha. Well, I mean, it depends. Sometimes you want to go for as much accuracy as possible, and then other times, you know, artistic license comes in pretty hard. With this one, I'd say there's a lot of artistic license. This is kind of a little homage to, you know, Conan, and where the hell did that layer go? Oh, there you are. There you are, Peter. Anyway. It's just silly. Some silliness. I've been doing several rounds of some silliness. I don't mind so much. It's pretty fun. Alright, let's get a rendery brush. Cool. Let's eraser. That's not so harsh. Yeah, definitely. This is more in the Harryhausen, like, kind of not so logical, just kind of fun, silly thing. Really, this is about capturing interesting lighting and kind of a mood, rather than it is about doing a full creature design. You feel like the axe needs a story behind it? Well, knock yourself out. What kind of story? That's a weird disconnect there. Let's connect that. Okay. You tried out the free painting software Krita because who wants to pay Adobe a sub? I think it's actually better than Photoshop for painting. It's lacking in photo manipulation. Yeah, there's a lot of good alternatives out there these days. Kova, hush. Enough. Yeah. Bloody dog. Now what's this shit? Why the hell? There's actually a giant nachos for snake people serving tray that would be used for special occasions, but during one of those nacho festivals, the Snake Kingdom was attacked. The platter shattered and turned into an incredible weapon to avenge the fallen chips and cheese. I mean, honestly, if there was ever any motivation for violence, lost nachos is probably highest on my list. So I'm feeling it. That works for me, bud. I mean, you can't hurt the cheese. That's not cool. Let's, we need to tighten up the light that's on this foreground figure just a touch. It's a little too overlit. I remember that I kind of wanted to get that effect that you get like when trees or buildings that are something that's really tall is being caught in the light, like the setting sun or the rising sun. So it's like half lit and half kind of in a different tone. It's got that nice rich oranginess. So I think yeah, something a little more like that just kind of warms. It's still lit, but maybe there's like trees or something is dappled across the surface, so it's not quite so bright down at the bottom. And you notice I'm not working too much on details just yet. I'm really trying to just get the lighting and the shapes in the right spot. And then by doing that, the details that I do add, I can be much more indicative rather than literal. I don't need to paint out everything because all of the lighting's already done. It's just going to be about kind of within the value keys I've established, carving out little details. Cheese has hurt you. That's right. Hey, Nox. Yes, this is handsome Naga. This is the Gaston of Nagas. Many times cheese has hurt you. Nice. I need all of the objects that are lit on his figure to turn away from the light in the correct way so that it sells the lighting. And I have not nailed that yet, so we'll get there. It takes time. Especially when there's no reference. I mean, we're just totally shooting from the hip here. Nox wishes to rename a layer. Layer 33 will now be always Slytherin. Done and done. Where's 33? I guess maybe 23. Beautiful. That's the good stuff right there. Come on, god damn it. Nice. I'm all about them Potter references, y'all. So we've done some pretty lean characters lately, doing a really chonky, like, muscular one. It's not something I do all that often, to be honest, so it's kind of fun to over-exaggerate these lumps of muscle. Just a small ghost. Hi, just dropping by to say my art is beautiful. And so am I. Aw. Thank you, that's so sweet. I hope you have a lovely day too. Thank you so much for stopping in. The deltoid's wrong. If you've painted, or if you've been with me while I've painted in previous sessions, you'll know that it's always a problem area for me. So I need to. It requires some refinement, so it's not so poopy. So he's a little bit underlit, I guess. It's a little low. Does the light go that far? Let's check. Maybe the light picks up a little on this shoulder here. Eh? It's a cool thing about raking light is you can have it kind of just pick up in little hot, interesting areas where the surface of a structure kind of pops forward a little bit. But you got to make sure that it makes sense, because if it doesn't, like this shoulder I just did, it'll stand out. And it will look off. If you ever painted before, you'd know it's wrong. Yeah. If you've ever watched me paint, you know that I pretty consistently fuck up. kind of what I do. It's who I am. I don't know. Is the top side more? I do know that we're going to want to make the... I want to see the flat of the blade catching a shimmer of light, so that's going to be a little bit bright, and it'll help sell the idea that the blade is not necessarily blocking light from the torso, because I don't even want to deal with the cast shadow from that. I'm going to be not male. Julia Madwitch, hi. Welcome. Any tips for applying details rather than rendering everything out? Applying details so that you're avoiding rendering is it's what I would call indication. So indication is essentially getting little hints of detail without going in and actually refining everything in ultra detail, digging in with a tiny little brush and making sure every little thing is visible. So there's a lot of tricks to getting good indication. There's the calligraphy of it, getting the right brush stroke in the right spot. But the real trick to detailing without detailing is a combination of accuracies that you have to strive for. And the essentials to them are getting the right value, the right color, and the right shape in the right spot. That sounds simple enough and easy enough, but really that's what it all comes down to. And if you are trying to invent everything from scratch, kind of like we're doing here, that can be even harder to do. And it's why stuff that is invented like this tends to look a little bit over-rendered, is because it's not easy to simplify. You basically have to invent a reality, invent a real lighting situation, and then hint at it and indicate and not explain everything, just make cool shapes. So there's this kind of back and forth. The ability to create those little perfect shapes, with a single brush stroke that kind of captures a little, that captures that feeling of realism, it requires lots of practice with realism, like actually painting from life. Like the best thing you can do to improve your detailing is paint from life and learn how to simplify those details, with just a brush stroke, with just a shape, just a color shift. And as you become more familiar with that, you will find that it's easier to fake it with something that's not real. You can capture just a little bit of a turn of form, a change in planar direction, things like that. And you'll learn to recognize when to not add another brush stroke, to just trust that the stroke that you've put down is enough to communicate the thing that you're after. And once you've got that, then you've got indication. Easier said than done. Again, it's a practice game all the way. So because we're hinting, I'm pushing the light even further to the left and hinting that it's kind of an uplit situation. The light is very low, at least straight on to him. Paint sexy, that's right. Paint smart, paint sexy. That's what we do in here. How's it going, Dan Rob? My hands are sore. Lots of painting. On the upside with this presentation thing that we did, it looks like we're going to be making some progress. The next step will probably be to do a prototype of the game idea. And because it's just a couple of people so far, we don't even have a budget for staffing up. It means that the prototype will need art. It'll need functional art. And that's not something that I normally do. I'm primarily a viz dev artist, concept artist, and writer. I wrote the plot and everything for this game that we're working on. So what I'm going to have to do now, it should be an interesting experiment, is I'm going to have to sculpt the main character and maybe even rig it. It's going to be fun. I'm excited because I love learning new stuff, and I especially love when I can charge somebody to learn new stuff. That's my favorite thing in the world. So hopefully I'll come out of this knowing ZBrush a little bit better. I'll suss it out. Maybe Brain can lean in and help me out on that one. Is it going to be a 3D game? Oh yeah. I mean, that's the kind of games I generally work on, is console, PC, AAA titles. So, yeah, I mean, my first gig out of college was a video game company. I worked at Neversoft, who were famous for Tony Hawk and later Guitar Hero. ZBrush is so much fun, but you have a hard time putting the time required into sculpts. Yeah, so that's the thing, is it's going to be especially difficult because I'm going to be trying to teach myself a new app and do a sculpture that's a little bit stylized in order to match with the art direction that I've kind of established for the game so far. It'll be interesting. I'm really excited to give it a shot. And of course, it'll be good because it'll just be temporary. I'm sure at some point we will get a proper artist on the team, and we'll start building once we get an actual green light with a budget, then we can start building a team. And then I will be working almost entirely from the art directorship position, just doing support art instead of primary art. I want to get some artists on there so they shine. This extra lump down here doesn't make sense. The lat doesn't split like that unless there's been an injury. So I'm going to go back to the bottom layer and just smooth it out just a little bit. And then cut it in, because it should insert a little bit higher. There's different kinds of body types all around, but I want that kind of lean. I want the lat here to kind of have the what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of have the rhythm of like a Cobra hood. So that's why I've also built out the trapezius as well, is to give that hood thing. And I'm going to do something with the skull. I don't like that little sagittal crest I put on. That's too much. It's very primate looking. And because I have the painting, all of the painting is done in the clipping mask, I can edit the mask origin itself, the silhouette, and the paint should look like it's going with it. Unless I go terribly outside the shape I've established. Yeah, this guy's like just stupid beefy, like can't scratch his own back big. Why not? Fuck it. I don't care. Am I going to be sculpting based off of my own concept? Yeah, I designed the main character. I've done a bit of environmental stuff, even though environments are not my focus, and it shows. But I did some environment concepts. I've done a little bit of exploration with NPCs. It's all getting done, and for now, you know, It's just me working on the art side. So I'm responsible for a lot of stuff right now. You always found the controls in Tony Hawk Pro Skater very frustrating. You get bumped around like a freaking flipper ball. Yeah, the design. This was something that I always found interesting because when I first started playing Tony Hawk, that's when I was in high school, and after, and I loved to play it, but it always fascinated me that it was almost exactly nothing like skating at all. It doesn't feel like skating. It doesn't play like skating. And yeah, you kind of just get flipped around. You press a button and it'll hook you to a rail and things like that. It was very gamey. And then once I got into actual production, I learned that the designers did that on purpose. That it's an arcade game. It's not meant to be a skate simulator. Other games did come out later that would kind of touch on that better. But yeah, it wasn't for everyone for that reason, because it didn't have the design elements to make it feel like skating. It was more like they were trying to capture the feeling of the flow that you get while skating. Oh, sorry. That's not what you mean. That doesn't quite work. Yeah, something a little more along those lines, maybe. I'll have to go back into the silhouette and carve that out so it makes more sense, but for now, I'm getting the notes I need. It's got loads of hip. Can grab all of this and maybe pull it out a little bit. Get the obliques out here so it kind of matches the body type a little more. Spread the body out so that the musculature is more broad. Might even do that kind of like Samson style belly where the lower part of his six-pack almost is like a bulge. I always treat this kind of phase as being really sculptural. So I want simple, big, clear shapes, and I want the lighting to support that. Totally thinking of the statue of Hercules or Heracles. I think it's the one where he's got the lion pelt on his shoulder. So navels. If he had a navel, I don't know that he necessarily will when we're done, but the navel is a great landmark for working on your abdominal muscles. So the other thing that Heracles has is like really broad, kind of squanchy, flat abdominals as it goes further up, which we will accommodate. Okay, let's make a new layer. I think we can probably actually, let's collapse all of this into one. Come on. Okay, there he is. This new layer. The lats, the fingers of the lats insert into these fingers of the abdominals. And so you have this kind of cool little braided look that is heavily accentuated in comic book style, but you can hint at it a little bit and get that kind of overlap with your, if you have a raking lighting that lets you take advantage of that, and we kind of do. All right, well, figuring all of this stuff out without reference is becoming annoying to me. So let's bypass this. Oh shit, I've been painting on the original layer that whole time. Oops. Happens. So instead of having to deal with that, let's costume him up, or at least start to. Trying to figure out what parts are actually working. This part doesn't work at all, so let's just cover it up with costume. Why not? All right. Looking forward to that, Avid. Post that in the Discord. I think, yeah, we don't really even need the oblique so much. Little corset, because everybody loves corsets. I know I do. I have to feel armory. I'm definitely gonna expand this. I'm gonna have to expand the outer silhouette in order to accommodate the changes to the shapes, but we'll worry about that once I kind of establish where these shapes might end up breaking the contours that exist currently. I like the neck muscles to some degree. I love goofy hoods. It's like got a phantom hood. It doesn't make any sense at all that he'd have rings around his snake body, because but just by the act of slithering, he would slip out of them. But, you know, it's fantasy. Look it. Lucas Parolin, thank you so much for that follow. It's good, it's good. Just a little tired. How you doing? What if it was like garters? Could have a little skirt. I don't know. Little snake skirts. Snake kilt. Why not? You're tired too. It's just going around. Tis the season, right? Thank you so much. I'm really glad you like it. Just having some fun here today. Do kind of a... I love seeing clothing that kind of wraps through itself or braids through itself. So maybe this cloth is just held on by this sort of bracer type shape that is the bodice. I don't know. Figure it out. We figure this out together. Got kind of a He-Man thing going on, I guess. That's all right. That's all right. Excuse me. I love this absurd ass hood. This is great. That gives me some gigs. Okay, so yeah, we used this to cover up anatomy I didn't feel like dealing with. Okay, fair enough, you can get away with that. But now that also means that I need to light this bit of decoration. It has to follow the same lighting scenario, otherwise it won't fit. So we've drawn it in, now we can light it a little bit. Let's see how we're looking. I think it'll be a different light color. Let's get a little bit more blue and a little bit more pinkies in it. Let's drop that just a touch. Yeah. So I don't know what the shape or whatever this armor will be. I'm just making notes now for future Izzy about the lighting I want to see on it. But I'll have to draw, so I want to do something thematically sound there. That would make sense. We can just draw something for now. But first, actually, let us do real quick a contour breaking pass. Just want to say a great teacher from some of the Gumroads you watched. Oh man, thanks. I'm real glad you like those. So I'm gonna just kind of generously break the contours I've established with the physique pass, where it's just the body of the creature. And what this means is that we can really get into concept art, because we're doing silhouette breaking shapes now. I don't know. First learned about my work back in 2014 when you were studying with Anthony Jones, and he mentioned me. Oh, that's awesome. I hope AJ's doing good. I haven't heard from him in ages. It's a good cat, AJ. Yeah, I worked with him also back in my Sony days. He was one of my character guys. Team character, what? I think I'm gonna do just some scalloping just to vary up that shape. I don't know if it's too much, if it doesn't feel... You know what? Let us... Why? Okay, there we go. Maybe like a, I don't know, caduceus wand type shape, something like that. We'll just do all that detailing in the rendering of the material, which I'm imagining is maybe leather or metal, something like that. The idea maybe it's carved in. Of course, we'll have to do a lighting path from the skyfill as well. But we'll add that later once I kind of figure out whatever this is going to be. This is the challenge, like I was saying, about doing indication, getting the details in without overdoing the details. And the only way you can really do that is if you know what it is you're painting. So if you're in the searching phase, I wouldn't worry too much about it being over rendered or not rendered enough. Just get it to a level where you understand what it is you're after, and then you can go in, kind of pull it apart and simplify, and then indicate. This could be, maybe this is a different material altogether. Just taking notes. Again, making things easier for future Izzy. Do the wand, maybe the snake bits, the intertwining snakes, whoops, are whatever that metallic material is. I don't know. I don't know. We can go in and clean it up Wednesday. That's when I will be back on Wednesday, 3 p.m. So my schedule is Mondays and Wednesdays at 3 p.m. and Saturdays usually around noon. That's more of a floating time, but I will definitely endeavor to regularly have a Saturday session. It's just the time will be a little bit more lackadaisical. Maybe something like that. So if you want to see me finish this guy out or see me start the next ones, go ahead and click that follow, subscribe, all that good stuff, and you'll be notified when I'm on. You gotta go work on dinner. Ham, mustard greens, and mashed taters. That's awesome, Avid. Actually, I'm going to be shutting down in about 10 minutes. So have a good night. Enjoy your dinner, and we'll catch you next time on Wednesday. I'm beat, guys. Like I said, it's been a busy, crazy day. Yeah, next time. Just sloppy indication. Doesn't matter right now. We will render and refine. Yep, I'm struggling to even do clean lines. So I got to head out, gang. I'm gonna get some rest, have a little nap, and maybe I'll be on later. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling. But glad y'all could join me for a little bit. It was good hanging and working a little bit more on Snaky Boy. I don't know if we'll have him finish the next round, but we'll be much closer to a finished illustration. I know I got to do the rocks, and as Tom asked, I've got to get into the background a little bit more and push that. So nice, Brain. Thanks so much for joining. You have a good one too. Take it easy, gang. We'll see you on Wednesday. Hope the rest of your week goes great. Until then, as always, paint smart, paint sexy. I'm Izzy, a professional writer, concept artist, and illustrator. I've taught painting for a dozen years or so, on and offline. Many of your favorite illustrators and designers have studied with me or under me and have gone on to teach in their own right. You're here because, like they did, you want to learn to paint realistically for illustration or concept art. Well, worry not. You're in the right place. Grab a seat. I want you to join me as I explain all the aspects of image making in extremely digestible and clear monthly lessons. Not through the lens of silly how to paint hair or eye demos. That shit is carnival tricks. And you're not really learning anything except an exact way to render one thing in one manner. This is painting mysticism at its worst. Watching these kinds of exploitative lessons won't help you level up with your understanding. Sure, now you can paint sparkly hair, but what if you want to paint a dragon, or figure out how to render a sea of fire, or depict a one-eyed transgender space marine dying in the vacuum of space? Painting and image making are tools of communication, and can be learned by anyone willing to put in some time. Like grammar is for language, light, color, and form literally follow a formula. Painting well is not a matter of chicken bones, zombie crackers, and the ever-dismissive concept of talent. Learning with my series, Izzy's Logic of Light and Color, will give you the tools and understanding so you can analyze light and form in reality and bring it to life in your work. Using this simple system I have distilled will help you harness your art to share your ideas as you've always intended. When we are children, we all draw in symbols. Symbols for our house, our hands, the sun, the grass, our pet lobster. As we grow into artists, we must learn to throw away symbols and begin to draw and paint what it is we actually see. And as we grow further, we learn to paint beyond what we see and what is actually there. Until finally we move beyond this and learn to trim away what is actually there so we voice only what we want. With me, you're going to have to buckle in and maybe take some pain meds, because I'm going to rip out your normal person's eyes and replace them with a painter's eyes. I'm going to restructure how you see and how you understand what you're seeing. I'm going to turn you into a painting machine. Truly, anyone can learn to paint realistically if they can both determine what they're seeing or imagining with basic and straightforward rules. Once you understand the mechanics of light, color, and form in reality, you will have the capacity to paint anything you can see or imagine realistically. After that, the real fun begins. Here are some of the ways you can join me and master the logic of light and color. The very first lesson of my series